Your muscles won't grow until you lift weights. So also, maturity won't come until you exercise your senses. Let's exercise unto maturity. Let's exercise unto maturity. Your muscles won't grow until you lift weights. So also, maturity won't come until you exercise your senses. Hebrews chapter 5. We're going to read verses 12 to 14. Hebrews chapter 5, let's read verses 12 to 14. For when for the time you ought to be teachers, you need that one teach you again. Did you see that? You're a repeater. We've been teaching you this thing, but now when we say you are supposed to be a teacher yourself, we need to teach you again. And what we are teaching you again is the first principle. Bring it back, please. The first principles of the oracles of God. And you have become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. We have been attempting, whenever we introduce small meats into your mouth like this, you make noise. We give you milk, you laugh. Milk is sweet, isn't it? It gives strength to the children, but it purges the adults. Too much milk will purge the adults. Children, they can be drinking milk, it's okay for their system. If all we have been giving you is milk, and your system is not purging, your system is not fully developed. And if we have been trying to introduce meat into your diet, and you're always complaining, you see the problem? Paul says, I exercise unto it. You see, when you want to start up a child, I have 4 children, so I know what we're talking about. It's milk they start with. You can't give a child who doesn't have teeth meat. There's nothing to handle it. But with time, it begins to grow teeth. And the reason it's growing teeth is so that it can handle meat. The reason it's growing teeth is so that all this milk will not be liquid. When it begins to grow teeth, some children, it begins to worry them. In fact, I've seen children that will be so sick, they'll say, what's wrong with him? Is it malaria? Is it he's growing teeth? It's maturing. Pastors, don't be disturbed when you see them getting hot, when their temperature is rising. They are growing teeth. They are doing what? They're growing teeth. So, you now move from pure liquid to matching the meat for him. You see, you give him. He begins to take it. At first, he's not able to chew. He will swallow everything, continue to give. The teeth will continue to grow. Then one day, he will begin to chew it. And next time, you introduce bone into it. That's how you train a child. If you continue to give milk forever, it will be a problem. Now, sincerely speaking, I loved milk when I was a child. I've told you, powdered milk, no. I love it a lot. But the way I will go to toilet these days if I do too much milk. That's what it says. In verse 13, everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness. For what? It's a babe. It's a babe. The next verse, I want us to read this together, everybody. Verse 14, Hebrews 5:14. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. Now listen, if all you are saying in scriptures are milk, all that God is showing you is milk, you are a babe. You need to get worried. I need to say, God, I'm not growing. I see that you are deliberately giving me milk. I'm not growing. I have a problem. When God begins to introduce me, how do you know he's introducing meat? When he's making demands of you that will require you to cry once in a while. Oh, I've been there. When I know it's not church. So it wasn't the pastor that was making demands of me. This was me with God looking at his word, and I knew he was making demands of me, and I burst into tears. Now he's introducing meat into your meal. And do you know why he's doing that? So that you can grow. You can have your senses exercised. Some of you, your senses are not yet exercised, but in this year of great glory, your senses will be exercised. You can't undo great glory without exercising your senses. Before God gives you certain glory, he wants to be sure that you can handle the fame, the popularity that comes with it. Now, he does something little for you, your shoulder pad has doubled. Now, you're already walking on your shoulders. Before you were walking on your legs. Now, you're walking on your shoulder. The small thing that he did for you. Now, if he does more for you, won't you be rolling on the ground on the streets and say they should allow you? You are the one walking everywhere. Now, you bought a used car. You won't allow us to rest. Now, when you buy a brand new one, what will happen? God wants to see that your senses match your glory. Let me tell you something, in case you have not read that. One thing, and Pastor Vincent told us that some weeks ago, that God will not do, is to share his glory with anyone. If he says that his glory is not safe in your hand, he will not give it to you. If every little thing you come, you say, well, that's me, that's what we do, you know. He won't leave his glory with you. Great glory is for those that have their senses. I'm going to come back to that senses exercise because they are spiritual senses. They are physical senses, okay? The what? The eyes, the ear. Your spiritual senses also must be exercised.